Good morning. My name's Steve Setti. I'm the town manager. I'm here to take you through the special town meeting warrant. Town meeting to be held on Monday, December 1st at 7 p.m. at the Valley Chapel, 14 Hunter Road in Uxbridge, Mass. And I want to remind you, it's Monday, not Tuesday. Normally we have our town meetings on Tuesday, but we schedule this one for Monday, December 1st. Small warrant. There's only 8 articles on this warrant, all financial articles, and all that are very important to get business done. Unfortunately, these are articles that should have been on the fall annual town meeting warrant, but were not because free cash hadn't been certified until recently, and now we have all funds available to be allocated appropriately. First article has to do with the wastewater enterprise fund budget. It's a funding source adjustment. Basically what that means is when we voted the wastewater budget at the spring annual town meeting in May, one of the funding sources was $500,000 to be transferred from retained earnings. At the time, those retained earnings hadn't been certified, similar to free cash not being certified. So that money needs to be appropriated at this point, or moved at this point, to the wastewater fund budget, so that the budget is fully funded for the year. It's not any additional money, it's money that you've already approved. The second article has to do with PFAS receipts reserved for appropriation. If you remember at the meeting, similar meeting, we talked about the water treatment plant, and at that time, the funding that was needed to build a water treatment plant. One of the sources of funding that we talked about was settlement money that was coming from various PFAS settlements that were going on throughout the country that the town was involved with. You remember what PFAS is? Those are forever chemicals that get into wells and need to be monitored over a long period of time and treated. Well, those funds have come through for at least 3 of the settlements that have come through nationally, totaling about $1.1 million that the town has received. At this point, we're going to ask you to appropriate the entire amount of money towards the water treatment project, so that would reduce the amount of funds needed to fund the remainder of that project to be built. Article 3 is appropriation of free cash to pay bands. What bands are bond anticipation notes, and those are things that towns frequently do early on before you actually go out to a full bonding article. We have 2 items that we have been paying bands on. One is a fire truck, and the other is the early construction money for the for the water treatment plant. I'm sorry, and those 2 things we're looking to pay off. The town's treasurer collector has advised us that paying those off would actually save the town money in the long run, especially the interest cost and additional costs on renewing these bonds. So we're going to ask for an appropriation of funds to pay down those bands. Article 4 is a transfer to stabilization fund, and this is the entire amount of free cash that's been certified, which is a little north of $3.8 million. We're going to appropriate to the town stabilization fund. Now, a couple of things with this. One, this will put us way over what our policy is with respect to how much we need in stabilization, but the subsequent articles that will come from this, funds will be moved out of that stabilization fund to fund the various articles coming forward. Reason we do this is tradition in the town of Uxbridge, that town meeting has always wanted to have those funds appropriated to stabilization prior to be moved out to any other appropriation. Does 2 things. One, it parks the money initially, but secondly, it allows for the voters to vote their preference as to whether or not they want that money moved out. There's a higher threshold when you need to move from stabilization into the other funds. It's a 2/3 threshold, so the town has to, in the request, there has to be a little bit more that needs to be done to make that happen, so you still can control your money by doing that. So first thing we're going to do is park that money in stabilization. Secondly, we're going to ask for a transfer to the OPEB trust funds. This will come from that stabilization as well. It's about $100,000 that'll be coming out of that account to fund our OPEB. Our OPEB liability is significant. As you all know, we'll have some more statistics for you as to what that is and where we are with the funding, but we're on our way to funding it. It's what the rating agencies that rate the town's creditworthiness also look at to see if you have a policy in place to do that. Since we do, that gives us more points in that rating, and hopefully will allow us to get a better bond rating down the road, so that it costs us less to borrow any money for any large projects. Article 6 is a transfer to capital stabilization. As you know, it's through capital stabilization that the Capital Planning Committee votes to or looks for the funding to fund any capital projects that are coming forward. There are a significant number of capital projects that town will be looking at in the future. Capital Planning Committee does a great job in prioritizing those funds and those projects, and more to come on that. You won't see any capital projects being funded at this meeting. Capital projects will be funded at the spring meeting, so plenty of discussion that will occur going forward. Article 7 is a transfer to the Cable Capital Project Fund. And this is one that I think we're all very much in favor of. Uxbridge Cable TV and Barry Giles and his staff at Uxbridge Cable TV does an outstanding job in broadcasting things like what we're doing today, the F.Y.I. Uxbridge, in addition to all our various sporting events that come through Uxbridge High School, also all our town meetings. Everything is something that Uxbridge Cable is present at and funding. What this money will do, or putting this or funding this capital project fund, will allow the Uxbridge Cable TV to purchase necessary equipment moving forward. This is funds that were left over when the cable department became a department of the town versus an enterprise fund, as we had in the past. We made the commitment at town meeting that we would, once these accounts were closed, we would move this money into the capital project fund, and this is our opportunity to do that again now that free cash and so forth has been certified. The last article on this town meeting warrant is a request from the school committee, and that's a request for a contract extension for custodial and janitorial services. Currently, there's a contract in place to provide those services to the schools. The school committee and the superintendent are looking to an extension for a fourth-year option under the existing contract. It'll keep the rates similar to what they were in the first 3 years, but extend it for another year. As you know, we recently voted an approval for the school department to have contracts up to 5 years, but the contracts that they're looking to extend or vote in as long-term contracts need to come to town meeting for approval, and that's what is being requested here, is that extension for that contract to be able to do that and continue to provide those services. And that's all the articles we have on this town meeting warrant. Again, like I said, it's a short warrant, but one that's real important to finalize and finish the financial issues and financial appropriations that the town needs to continue to operate. I will tell you, beginning in January and going to May, we're beginning the budget process for next year, and also Finance Committee will begin all their public hearings in April regarding the budget. So there's a lot more to come. It seems like it never stops. But this year is going to be a little bit more difficult year as we move forward, and I think it's going to be an important year for everybody to make sure that you stay informed, so that when come May town meeting in May of '26, you're ready to vote and informed on what you're going to be voting on for the budget going forward. Thank you again. Hope you all have a great Thanksgiving and a great holiday season after that, and look forward to speaking to you again in 2026.